Alright, welcome back. This is part 2 of the anti-hacker test penetration simulation demo. In the first video you see me show you some basic hacking techniques that are used to keylog, capture passwords and usernames. I identified how the environment's set up and talked briefly about hackers in general and cybercrime. So now moving forward, this video is going to be a little bit more details. I'm going to do a little bit more advanced penetration testing with Armitage, and we're going to start by showing you the list of commands that are available. And by simply just typing in the question mark and pressing enter, brings up the list of commands, so you can see this is the list of commands that can quickly be ran through. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I realized in the first video it was kind of tough to see, so I'm hoping that will help size it a little bit better. But anyways, you'll notice there's just a ton of things that can be executed with interpreter shell. From creating folders and files on the remote system, to downloading items, to deleting items, modifying the registry, setting up parameters for startup, modifying the routing table, setting up port forwarding and such, being able to quickly clear all the event logs and such. Being able to start and stop processes and restart the computer, shut it down. Like I initially talked about with the key scanning, the key logging, recording the recording webcam and microphone, and dumping the hashes and such. So with that being said, we'll get started here. I'm going to show you the command is actually screenshot. And what this does basically, it takes a screenshot of the remote system. So as you can see here, this is just an image, a picture of this Windows XP system to my right here. So we can click to make it basically say watch every 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds it's going to take a new picture if we wanted to have a persistent snapshot go. Which can be useful for if someone is wanting to try to capture certain program activities or typing in certain things. So, or trying to just locate where files and folders are actually stored and where the end user is actually working in. So, to move forward within the environment, we're going to basically do what's called a ARP scan. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to essentially be able to look for other devices connected to it. So here's the ARP scan, and it's going to scan the network, which it's a /24, which is a very standard network. As it locates devices, you're going to see them start popping up here on the screen. And you'll notice the difference between the system I'm controlling and the system that's discovered is any computer or device that has been compromised successfully with the hacker to control it. The computer screen turns red and has these lightning bolts, as you can see with this one right here. So during this ARP scan, it picked up looks like it found 4 other devices here. Now, from the initial scan, we don't know what they are other than what the IP address is, and such. So it's going to take a little bit more information. And so the way we do that is we have to set up a pivot, basically. And what this allows us to do is essentially funnel commands through this compromised system to really be able to figure out what is going on in the environment here. So we're going to set up a pivot. We're going to set it up, and it's basically what the pivot is it's just we're adding a routing rule into the network configuration file of that system. So now all of a sudden you're going to see we've got more green arrows, and we're going to rearrange all this so you can kind of see what this looks like. We're going to zoom out a little bit more. So what this basically shows is in the light green arrow is our active connection into our system that's compromised, and then it shows how these other systems can be reached. So if we want to, for example, take a look at system 101, we can scan this particular device, and then it shows what ports are open on it. Then we'll scan each one of these devices here. I'll focus on the top two here so we don't take too much time. And this is one reason why penetration tests can take a long time, just because there is a lot of ways to go about locating and identifying systems. But there's a nice little feature here. It's called basically find attacks or Hail Mary attacks, which basically throws everything but the kitchen sink at the endpoints, which means it does a vulnerability analysis scan through Interpreter, and if there is a known missing patch or missing update on one of those systems, it will look to see if there's a known exploit that's been written that can be used, and then it will send it and try to exploit the system that way. And then it will funnel all of the commands through the already compromised system in the environment. These type of scans can take a while, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it until these scans are finished, and then we'll pick it up right where we left off here. Alright, so the basic scans did finish. It did show a few services active and open some ports. However, it was unable to really clearly identify some of the systems. So we're going to do a little in-depth in-map scan. And as I was talking, it looks like it did finally detect or identify there was a system labeled as Windows 7 Professional. So we were able to validate that 100% based on some of the services and ports that were open, which is good. You can see how long it took to finish that, and it looked like it also detected another system as well. So let's see exactly what the other one is. So you can see this scan detected it was Windows Server 2008 R2. So you can see that through our scans, it did successfully validate the operating systems, which is huge because now we are able to really hone in our attacks. So we know we're going to focus on server attacks against this Server 2008 system, and the other system here we'll be able to focus our attacks on a Windows 7 Professional system. So moving forward, there's a bunch of ways that we can go about trying to exploit this through the environment, but the next thing I want to show you real quick, which typically works 9 times out of 10, is called dump the hash or pass the hash attack. And so the way this works is we're able to quickly figure out the hash encryption, which for those of you that do not know what a hash is, it's whenever you have a password stored, it doesn't store it in clear text. It actually encrypts it into what's known as a hash. So it will add a bunch of random letters and numbers and symbols to the hash, depending on the type of hash. It may not have symbols, but regardless, it changes up how it looks. So what we did was, from the box we've already compromised, we've executed a hash dump, and you can see these are the user accounts and these are the hashes associated with them. Now we can quickly see in a case where, let's say, someone has changed the name of the local administrator, it shows the what's known as the SID or the UID, which is the user identification number. We always know the default administrator account has the UID or SID of 500, and that allows us to locate that built-in default admin account. And then we also know any admin accounts that are created past that, or other user accounts for that matter, will be up in the 1,000 range. So we can take this information that we have now gathered by coming up here into what's called loot, or excuse me, it's not under loot, it's under, see here, credentials, and we're able to refresh. Oh, actually I need to select this box and do that. and then we'll crack the passwords. And cracking passwords can take a long time. And there's a bunch of ways to go about cracking a password. And there's a bunch of password attacks. Some of you may have heard the term brute forcing or a dictionary attack, and rainbow tables. So essentially what we're doing is we are trying to take this hash and turn it into actual readable text that we can do something with. So we're going to let this thing process and run. I'm going to put it back on pause. I'll be back as soon as it's done cracking it. Alright, so our cracking of the password hashes is finished. It didn't take too long. You'll notice it shows it right here. It shows the user account name and the password that was used. In this case, IT support used the password of red light. The administrator account used the password of password. And if we come over to the credentials database tab here, we can actually see that it labels the username, the password to what IP address it came from. It also still lists the hash algorithm or value, should I say, as well. So this is where it gets interesting, because we automatically assume that majority people will actually use their same username and password throughout the entire environment, especially if it's true in a domain environment. So what we can do is essentially do what's called pass the hash, which is pretty neat, because what happens is it basically tries all of the usernames and passwords that was gathered from the one system, and it tries it against the other systems in the environment. So we'll let that run against that one, and it looks like it didn't find any connection to the Windows Server 2008 system. So we'll try the Windows XP system now and see if this works. We'll pass the hash on this one. We'll check all credentials. We'll launch it and see what it does. Okay, well, unfortunately, in this particular case, none of the passwords match. So, with that being the case, and it's very common when you set up new environments like this that the user accounts may not be named the exact same way, and because it's in a work group, I should have set up a domain to show the how quickly I could have connected into another system. But there's other ways to get in as well besides passing the hash. So we can simply right click on it and go to attacks, and now we can actually look at some of the different exploits that are available based on the ports that were open. So we can go through here and attempt each one of these, and we'll try basically to see if any of these work. And it looks like most of these are for some of the older Windows systems, so it probably won't work. We'd probably have to look for a different attack vector other than a simple exploit at this point. And yeah, as you can see, that info as well. But there's definitely a lot of things that we can do. We can come up here and do a Hail Mary attack. I do not want to do that right now, but what that essentially does is it will load and throw every single attack out there against these systems. So we're going to go ahead and pause it for the final minute here. Or actually, before we pause it, we'll just go ahead and wrap this one up, and then our next video will show how we can actually gain access to some of these other systems, and then actually start pulling some data off of them. So hope you enjoyed watching how we were able to actually crack the passwords of some of these systems here. So very scary stuff that can happen when your system gets compromised. As you can see, we were able to locate user accounts and their passwords. So with that being said, I appreciate everyone watching. Again, if you have any questions or questions, feel free to email us anytime or give us a call if you're ready to get started. Thanks for watching.